Welcome to Narayana IIT Academy. I am a senior chemistry faculty, Veera Raghava, working at Madhapur campus. So today we will be discussing the 25th afternoon shift chemistry paper. Right, let's go into that. If we look at the first question, they have given ethylene glycol treated with oxalic acid and it is temperature related question. Here they mentioned temperature at 210 degrees Celsius. When you heat ethylene glycol with oxalic acid at 210 degrees Celsius, the product that you are going to get here is ethene. It is a straightforward reaction of glycols with oxalic acid at different temperatures. Generally 110 degrees Celsius, 210 is more important for our examinations, and in our mains examination they have asked at 210 degrees Celsius. This is the same repetition of 24th morning shift question. First question. So they have taken aniline and done nitration. Nitration is done with nitration mixer. Here, if you consider the nitration mixer is concentrated HNO3 with concentrated H2SO4 in 1:1 ratio. It results in generation of electrophile NO2 plus, which is called nitronium ion. Since the solution is acidic, H plus which is produced will attack NH2 group, converting that NH2 group into NH3 plus. It means that NH2 group is being converted to NH3 plus. NH3 plus is considered to be very strong minus I group. Remember, it will not show minus M. So minus M is not possible for NH3. So now, here out of this, here the highest is para position, which is around 51%, and next comes meta, it is around 47%, and here at ortho, if you take, it is 2%. So the major product will be para product. Therefore, reaction is possible and 2 is the major product. Next is the environmental chemistry. Almost environmental chemistry came in your 24th both shifts, and also here in this chapter you got a question from environmental chemistry. They are asking normal rainwater pH is 5.6. Absolutely correct. Acidic rainwater has pH less than 5.6. This is also absolutely correct. So the answer for this will be statement 1, 2 both are considered to be true. Now, here they are asking you about alpha anomer. Alpha anomer they are asking you. Check it. Alpha anomer. How you identify alpha anomer? O attached carbon, you check it. Always O attached carbon is need to be checked for alpha and beta. And as per our representation, the groups that are present towards right side will be written at the bottom in the Haworth representation. So this is a Haworth representation. So which are present towards right side means if OH is towards right side, OH will come in the bottom side, and that is considered to be alpha. Since they are asking you about alpha, what we need to understand here is, so which is satisfying our condition. Now check this. Here O is present below or not? Absolutely. So this is O attached carbon. So this is alpha. And here O attached carbon, OH is present here below. So this is alpha. It means both are alpha. That's why this is satisfying our condition of alpha anomer of maltose. And remember that maltose on a hydrolysis gives 2 moles of alpha D glucose, and both are glucose. So position of OH and all should be clearly observed. It's not just alpha, the other groups also need to be observed, because sometimes they can mislead you by changing the positions. So linkages in carbohydrate is always considered to be a very important concept. And another, acidic strength is a very important concept. Very frequently we get questions from this concept. Now in acidic strength, here first we need to identify which groups were present. COH. Absolutely we can say this is considered to be least. Carboxylic acid is stronger acid. Now out of these 3, we need to check which is most. So that is decided with the help of the electron withdrawing. So this shows -I and -M. Whereas CH3 shows +H and +I. Therefore, surely C is greater than A, and A is greater than B, and least will be D, because that is not carboxylic acid, it is phenol. Another roadmap of a reaction is generally expected in our examinations. Now let's understand which is going to match. So let's check with the first option. Take benzene. Treat that with CH3COCl in the presence of AlCl3. AlCl3 will remove this chlorine. So carbon will get positive charge, and this acts as electrophile, so it's going to attack here. So the product that you are going to get here is, on benzene you get COCH3. First part is over. Now we are adding ZnHgHCl, which is Clemmensen reduction. In Clemmensen reduction, what you are going to observe here is C double bond O is going to be converted as CH2. So that is zinc amalgam with HCl. So the product that you get after this will be, you have CH2 with CH3. Now you are going to take a Br2 with Fe. This is nothing but considered to be Br2 with Fe. So the electrophile is Br+. So Br+ is going to attack at which position? Ortho and para position. Why? Ethyl group is considered to be ortho and para directing, and generally it is more preferred to attack at which position? Para position, because of steric factor. And lastly we are doing nitration. When we do nitration, we always get groups based on the attack of the activating groups. This is activating group. It's a very important concept. This is weak activating group. This is deactivating group, weak deactivating group. So attack of electrophile takes place in accordance to the activating group. So to this ortho position, we can expect attack of NO2. So here you get NO2. So since this sequence is giving you the required product, so the answer will be first option. Another beautiful question. Generally we say alkenes with H plus Markovnikov addition. As I mentioned earlier also, always never answer based on the Markovnikov and anti-Markovnikov concept. Write with the mechanism and then decide whether it goes by Markovnikov or anti-Markovnikov. So best example is here. Take here you have double bond. Now you are adding H plus. Tell me where you can expect the attack of H plus, and here you have NO2, which is electron withdrawing group. Positive charge is stable on this carbon or on this carbon. So it is stable on this carbon. Why? Here plus is attached with electron withdrawing group. Therefore, the product that you get over here is NO2, and here you are going to get positive charge. Once you get positive charge, that will attack on the benzene, and the product that you are going to get from this is corresponding compound. So this is the product that you are going to get from the option. Check this. So clearly you need to have an idea about the stability of carbocation. It's a very, very important concept for your examinations. So that will attack on the benzene. This is electrophilic aromatic substitution reaction. They have given alkene and adding CO and H2. This is oxo process. Let me explain you oxo process. In oxo process, what happens? It is hydroformylation. It is hydroformylation and goes by anti-Markovnikov addition. So here you get H and here you get CHO. So this is considered to be oxo process, first point. Second point, it is hydroformylation. And third important point regarding this is this goes by anti-Markovnikov addition. So straightforward, you can look at the answer and you will get it. In estimation of halide from sodium fusion extract, which compound is used before adding AgNO3? We add HNO3. Why, sir? Why? Because HNO3 will convert whatever cyanide that is present in the form of HCl, which is a gas, lost. If you have in the compound sulfur, then it will convert sodium sulfide as H2S, which is a gas. It means it is converting all the compounds, and both are gases, so they are liberated. So whatever the carbon and nitrogen is present, it is removed. Whatever sulfur is present, it is removed. So now when you add AgNO3, if you have halogen, you get white precipitate or pale yellow precipitate or yellow precipitate depending on the halide that is present in the given solution. And fluoride is not given. Why? Because AgF is soluble. Straightforward, another alloy based question came in this mains examination. Earlier they have asked about the alloy in the shift 1. Same again here in 25th shift 2 they have asked German silver. It is nothing but copper, zinc and nickel were together called as German silver. Bond dissociation energy. Very, very important concept. If you go for bond dissociation energy, chlorine is greater than, bromine is greater than, fluorine is greater than iodine. Another part which is very important is electron affinity. Electron affinity, chlorine greater than, fluorine greater than, bromine greater than iodine. So, both of these are asked several times in the previous examinations and again has been asked in mains. So, you need to be very, very clear about this concept thoroughly. Which is false for hydrophilic colloids? Philic, loving water, solvent loving. Okay, water that is. So viscosity remains almost same as that of water, not at all. So the first statement itself is considered to be a false statement. So earlier they asked about lyophilic, lyophobic. Hydrophilic is nothing but water as the solvent. Physical absorption, chemical absorption, important. Emulsions, oil in water, water in oil, important. So these classifications are very, very important for your examinations. Next is, in which of the following more than one type of bond length is present? It is symmetrical. It is symmetrical. In XeF2, F4, symmetrical. Why? Xenon, fluorine, 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 and you are going to have lone pairs. So bond lengths are same. Now go to SF4. In SF4, what you are going to observe, what is the hybridization of SF4? It is considered to be sp3d. In sp3d, what happened? Axial and equatorial bond lengths are not same. It is considered to be seesaw shape. So, in this you have 4 bond pairs and 1 lone pair. And in this, more electronegative occupy axial positions. So, it occupies axial positions. So, axial bond length and equatorial bond length are not same. So, it will be SF4. Alpha sulfur and beta sulfur are irreversibly converted to each other under slow heating, which is not true. It's a fact-based concept. Monoclinic sulfur exists as a more stable allotropic form at room temperature. Again wrong. It is not monoclinic, rhombic. Therefore, what we can say, both statements are considered to be incorrect. It's another beautiful question. Nickel 2 plus is detected by dimethyl glyoxime in NH4OH. Absolutely true. And dimethyl glyoxime is a neutral bidentate ligand. Absolutely true. So here this is going to form a complex, okay, HDMG. So this is going to be considered as a very, very important test for detection of nickel ion. Therefore, here HDMG, if you consider dimethyl glyoxime, is a neutral bidentate ligand and detected by, why? Because you are going to get which compound? Rosy red precipitate. Means this will be converted as with NH4OH. It will be converted as DMG minus. So the complex that you get is NiDMG taken twice, and this is considered to be rosy red precipitate, which has hydrogen bonding. Very important question for your examinations. Ksp of calcium hydroxide is 5.5 10 power minus 6. So Ksp is equal to Ca2 plus and you have 2OH minus. So once you consider this, the relation that you get is 4s cube. They are asking you yes. Ksp is given. So which is nothing but equal to 5.5 into 10 power minus 6. So S cube is equal to 5.5 into 10 power minus 6 divided by 4. And S is cube root of this. So which on solving you will get your answer. Another coordination compound based. So they are asking you here. Spin magnetic moment. So they are asking you spin magnetic moment. Now you check the ligand. F, weak ligand. Cl, weak ligand. NH3, strong ligand. NH3, strong ligand. So you need to know which type of ligand is being provided. So this is weak ligand. This is weak ligand. This is strong ligand. This is strong ligand. Now we need to go with Fe3 plus. Fe3 plus. Fe3 plus configuration will be argon 4s0 3d5. So it is a weak ligand. So outer d orbitals will get involved. So number of unpaired electrons, how many? 5. Go for nickel. Nickel in 2 plus. So nickel in 2 plus, if you consider argon 4s0 3d8. No pairing here. So it means the number of unpaired electrons, how many? 2. Go for copper 2 plus. And here argon 4s2. So it is 4s0 3d9. So you are having a one unpaired electron or not? Absolutely. Next, if you go for cobalt 3 plus, argon 4s0 3D, 7. So out of 7 here, 2 and 7, so 2 logs and 1, 6. 3D, 6. So those electrons will get paired. So 3D 6 means I am going to write 3D 6 in this manner. So here you have 2 inner d orbitals available for bonding. So it will be d2sp3. So number of unpaired electrons will be 0. So now if we go into the concept, automatically here you have 5, here you have 5, here you have 2, here you have 1, and here. So here you are having 0. So the answer is which of the following cannot form carbon monoxide on reaction with H2O? Understandable that partial oxidation of alkanes will give carbon monoxide. Exhaust of vehicles. Carbon also can give partial oxidation, carbon monoxide. So what will be the answer? Carbon dioxide. This is a very beautiful question. Electrochemistry, and it is so tricky and even to the level of advance. So if you consider a galvanic cell, copper is reacting with nitric acid to produce NO2 and NO. First you need to know 2 reactions, and once you know the 2 reactions, then you can write it easily. So take the 2 reactions, copper with nitric acid gives Cu copper nitrate plus, they are mentioning NO2 and NO. So this is one reaction. Let's go for another reaction. What is that? Cu plus H plus NO3 minus gives Cu2 plus NO plus H2O. Because they are mentioning both being produced. Now we need to balance the reaction. So here if you keep 2, 4, two and 2, 6, 4 plus 2, 6, balanced. Now in this, what is the number of electrons involved? Electrons involved is 2 electrons. Very important. So N is 2 with respect to nitrogen dioxide formation. Now let's go with NO formation. What you are going to get here is, in this reaction, take copper, it is 3, and here 3. Here you are going to get 8. So here 4. How many oxygens were there? Here hydrogens 8, balanced. Now it is all about the nitrate. So here 3 are there, here 4 plus 1. So we need to balance with respect to NO3 minus. And charge, if you check here, what is the charge that you are going to get? 2 if you take here, 2 NO. Now check, oxygens are 6, nitrogens balanced. It means here how many electrons required? 6. So here 6 electrons, here 2 electrons. So N is 2 and here N is 6. Over. And now we know that always Q is equal to product by reactants. we need to write the relation. So E is equal to, so for this NO3 minus case, NO2 is given, means for this, what is the value given? 0.79 plus 0.059 by, what is the N value for this? 2 log of products. Products means we will not consider this. We will not consider this. We will consider only Cu2 plus. Why? Only ions need to be considered. By. Here what you are going to get? Ions. So H plus whole to the power 4. And here NO3 to the power 2. If you assume here X and X, automatically you will get the data. In the same manner, if you write for this relation, okay, what you are going to get for this? Check this. So E is equal to, what is the value of NO here? NO based product here. It is NO based product. So if you take a NO based product, then what you are going to observe here? It is nothing but E is equal to 0.96 plus 0.059 by 6 log of product are Cu2 plus whole power 3 divided by here H plus to the power 8 and NO3 to the power 2. And here if you observe, they mentioned that tendency of formation of both are considered to be same. It means these two values need to make equal. And once you make equal, you need to calculate the concentration of what? NO3 minus. Simple, but you need to know how to write the relation. Then automatically you can get your answer in your examination. They have given divalent cation, and here you need to consider the zinc in aqueous spin magnetic moment. Z is equal to 29. So Z is equal to 29 means nothing but you need to understand it is copper. So copper in 2 plus, what is the electronic configuration? Argon 4s0 3d9, same repetition. CuNH3 2 plus complex is asked, same. It means the number of unpaired electrons, how many? 1. If it is 1, what is the spin magnetic moment? Nu is equal to root of n into n plus 2. So it comes as root of 1 into 1 plus 2, which is root 3. So this comes as 1.73 units Bohr magneton. So this is how we will be calculating this spin magnetic moment. Next concept, molality. Same concept as in shift 1 on 24th. So what is the relation that is used? There freezing point, here boiling point. So the relation that you need to understand here is delta TB is equal to I into KB into M. So they have given how much? Rise of is 2.5. So it is 2.5 is equal to I means 1 plus n minus alpha. It is AB. AB ionized to give what? 2 ions, A plus, B minus. So what will be the number of ions in that? So it is 2 ions. Therefore, it is 2 minus 1 alpha. Kb value 0.52. Molality need to be calculated. And what is the alpha value? 75%, means it is 0.75. All values were given and we need to calculate the m value. Okay, so we need to calculate the m value. Therefore, m is nothing but molality. So this is a concept to be the molality concept. Okay, fine. Next here is, how many of the following compounds carboxylic functional group is present? Sulfonylate acid, picric acid, aspirin, ascorbic acid. Same repetition of the advanced level question. Sulfonylate acid, picric acid, aspirin. What is aspirin? Acetyl salicylic acid. Acetyl salicylic acid. And last one is ascorbic acid. If you go for ascorbic acid, now they are asking you COH group is present in. So clearly understandable from the structure. Determine density of copper having FCC. FCC they mentioned. So FCC is very important. Now what is the edge length given? 3.69 and atomic mass is 63.54 unified mass. Now let's go for the calculation part. So density formula is Zm by NaQ. Z is how much? 4 for FCC. M is 63.5 by Avogadro number 6.023 into 10 power 23. And here edge length of 3.69. 3.69 into 10 power minus 10 cube. So simplifying this, you will be getting the density value. Straightforward, asked in several times in your examinations, still will be asked. So it's only about the calculation which need to be careful in the examination. They are asking you to calculate the energy in kilojoule per mole. Right. So energy formula is Hc by lambda. It is for one atom. Okay. So what is the H value? 6.63 into 10 power minus 34 into C is 3 into 10 power 8 meters per second divided by wavelength is 633 nanometers. 1 nanometer 10 power minus 7 centimeter or meter. So we need to be clear about the values. So here 1 nanometer is equal to 10 angstrom. And angstrom, how many centimeters? Here, how many meters? So that is what need to be learned and remembered. So which some students slightly do mistakes regarding this. So it is minus 10 meters. So here we are going in meters. So 10 power minus 10. So it is 10 power minus 7. Not meters, it is centimeters. So you need to be clear about that value. So here the value is minus 9. And remember, this is for one atom. Now per mole. So it means convert this into 6 point for 1 mole means how many atoms? 6 point. And it is for kilojoule. So it is divided by 1000. So once you simplify this, you will get the energy in kilojoule per mole. Photoelectric cell. The condition is electron should be given easily. So which can give electron easily? Cesium. Size more, nuclear attraction less. So energy required to remove electron is easy. It is a titration. Whenever titration questions were asked, keep in your mind milliequivalence. Until and then n factor doesn't change. Milliequivalence of compound 1 is equal to milliequivalence of compound 2. So here it is with respect to oxalic acid and NaOH. It means milliequivalence of NaOH is equal to milliequivalence of oxalic acid. What is the formula of milliequivalence? Milliequivalence is volume in milliliter into normality. Now, NaOH data they are given 4.5 and 4.4, which were 3 consecutive values that need to be taken. So it means 4.4 should be taken but not 4.5. So it is 4.4 into, so here they are asking you molarity. So normality and molarity is the same for NaOH. Why? N factor is 1. Milliequivalence of H2C2O4. So what is the volume of it? 10 ml. And what is the molarity? 1.25. And remember, N factor for that is 2. Why? It can give 2H+. Therefore, N factor for this 2. N factor can also be written as valence factor. So once we simplify this, we get normality, and normality is equal to molarity for NaOH. Since NaOH can give only 1 OH minus. Another beautiful question from thermodynamics. They are asking you to determine heat. So they have given 2.10 megapascals, 1.30 megapascals and pressure of 4.31 megapascals at temperature 273. First try to understand, to calculate heat, what we need. Q is equal to minus W. And how you get W? W is minus P external into delta V. And how you get delta V? It is P external into V2 minus V1. Or we can say as P external into V final minus V initial. Try to understand the strategy to attack a problem. So what is being asked? Put it. What is missing? Calculate it. You will get your answer. Now, in this, P external, we know it, so, and V final, V initial is required. How you calculate V final and V initial? So, V final is equal to nRT by P. What is the number of moles? 5. 5 into joules. So, 8.314 into here temperature 273 divided by. So what is the value of V final? Final is 1.3. So 1.3 into 10 power 6. Now let's go for V initial. It is 5 into 8.314 into temperature 273 divided by, here what is the initial? 2.1 into 10 power 6. So substitute that. P external is how much? 4.31 into 10 power 6. We know V final and V initial. Substitute that and we will get the W. And W, once we know, we get the Q value. Got it? Fine. So this is all about the afternoon shift JEE Mains chemistry paper. So go through all the concepts which are being discussed in this session and make sure that you will get advantage for your next examination. Thank you.